My original channel, Darwin's Hamster, started out with a series of 4 videos discussing Charles Darwin and Jarod Diamond, who wrote the Pulitzer Prize winning book Gun, Germs and Steel. I think a lot of people would be very surprised to find out the things that are in there. Yes, more primitive man acted on a much smaller scale, but in fact his life was much more brutal. And infanticide, which I just always find interesting, was very rampant in order to control population so that food supplies were adequate. So when we go ahead and say that governments have killed far more people than individuals have, you know, on a per capita basis, I'm not so sure that position is sustainable. But in any event, I have an idea. And the idea is that maybe even that statement is looking at it wrong. That the statement that governments have killed far more people than individuals did, therefore government causes the problem. I think somebody could put lipstick on that pig to be a logical fallacy, that we're assuming that there's a cause and effect relationship. And in fact, what I think is probably the case is the concept of large numbers of people not having empathy. In other words, in your family and people you know, the thing that actually limits your behavior is empathy. The larger the population becomes, the less empathy you have with other people. And so I'm going to be working on this idea with the idea that whether in anarchy or government, if people don't have empathy with unseen, unknown people, then it really doesn't matter whether there's a government or not. But that with empathy, probably governments would work even better. That's why I think this whole YouTube thing is so interesting, because I keep thinking if we could get the internet into fundamentalist Muslim countries where we were interacting with these people, even interacting at them hollering and screaming at each other, but on an individual basis, where that type of connection could be made, how much change would that make? Would it be positive? It's my opinion that it's not the government and no government issue, it's the empathy issue. Now I keep talking about large numbers of people, and the question was, what was the large number of people relative to the population? And I don't think it's relative to the population. I think it's relative to the human capacity to empathize and identify. So this is the idea that one of the ideas I'm going to be pursuing is the concept of empathy being the relevant factor, not government, as is assumed, from what I think we can develop into a logical fallacy. And the idea that we do not have the capacity for knowledge of all aspects of the marketplace to care for our own self-interest. And we in fact want to delegate that to a government. I've expressed that in a previous video. And those two ideas, I think, taken together, can actually provide perhaps a direction for governments to realistically improve, because we all know anarchy isn't going to happen in any of its forms. And that's because it won't work. We just, well, I won't stir that up right at the moment, but we need something that works, and we need something that works that is not of a catastrophic change. We need to recognize what the real problem is. Is the real problem government? I don't think it is. I think we can have non-empathy even in any circumstance, and it's going to result in people killing each other, either in small numbers or large numbers.